Welcome to For Your Amusement, a theme park podcast that aims to exhaustively evaluate the world's most popular theme park attractions to determine if they are world class. I'm Byron Marin, and you are probably confused for perhaps a variety of reasons. And if this just so happens to be the first episode you have ever tuned into, whether it's listening or viewing, welcome. It's not too late. Get out while you can. But for most of you, this probably isn't your first rodeo, and you're probably very familiar with Ryan captaining this ship, which he obviously isn't here to do so. And if you're watching the video version of this podcast, you might have been able to notice that we are not in the traditional tiki room set. No, we are in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Yes, I am aboard the Disney Wish, reporting on my first ever Disney cruise. I was given the amazing opportunity by Disney to come check this ship out. Probably gonna be a real ship show with me captaining things. We'll see how we do. I'm gonna try and let this episode serve as somewhat of an audio log, at least for listeners, and a video log for you viewers. And I hope this is actually coming out, the ocean back there, because it is rather nice, and it's gonna sound a little different. Obviously, it's gonna look very different. I don't have my traditional podcast mic, so I'm kind of winging it here because I just wanted to give a play-by-play to the best of my abilities. It's not going to be all the time because it is a 3-night cruise, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that I could already tell is going on.
Sing over the copyright! Don't copyright strike me, please! I love this song!
So I want to make the most of it and deliver the most authentic Disney Wish experience possible, and hopefully we could all walk away learning a thing or two about this ship. Perhaps some of you have been on various Disney cruises before. I have not. I've been on cruise ships before, not a Disney cruise, which is also really funny and ironic considering I'm a 33-year-old man taking this Disney cruise by myself. No one else is with me, and I'm all for it. When I walked in, like, my jaw was just on the floor. I didn't realize that we'd have balconies, or they call them verandas, out here, so I could post a reaction to that because I lost my mind. I'm at a loss for words. This is so dope. This is so dope. And this is... Oh my god. No way, wait, how do I open this? No, oh my god, yeah. What the heck? No way! So whether you're new to this show or you've been here since the first episode, thank you all for tuning in, and I just can't wait to share this experience with you all. But let's start off with maybe a little bit of context, how we got here, because it's been a rather chaotic 24 hours. So yesterday was the day that I enjoyed Disneyland's 70th anniversary with Ryan. We went to Disneyland. We did Walt the Ride, as we like to joke about or call it. It's a magical life, Walt Disney. We had a really good time experiencing that, going on some of the old 1955 attractions, and just having a really good day and just enjoying the energy of that park. And as soon as that Walt Disney experience ended on Main Street, I had to rush to my car, get to the airport, get on a plane overnight to Orlando in order to quickly shower up, take a 1-hour nap, and get a bus transport over to Port Canaveral so I can board the Disney Wish, which has been around since 2022. It is the 5th of 6 ships that are currently in operation, I believe. Once again, I am not that familiar with Disney cruises. I've done a little bit of homework now, so what I can tell you is Disney's been doing their own cruise lines since 1998. Prior to that, they actually had a deal with Premier Cruise Lines, which used to go by the Big Red Boat, and Disney would license their IPs. Once that ended, I believe around the early to mid 90s, Disney was a little more flush with cash after Eisner stepped in. The parks got better. They went through the Renaissance period. They had the funds to go forward and start their new cruise line. That's what we got in 1998 with the Disney Magic. Shortly to follow was, I believe, the Disney Wonder. And then in the mid 2000s, around 2011 or so, you get a couple more. You get the Disney Fantasy, the Disney Dream. Hey folks, Byron from Dry Land here.
Not to say that this ever so slightly younger version of myself was off to a bad start in regards to the history segment, but I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to jump in here and help get him across the finish line. In 2016, still fresh off the success of the aforementioned Dream and Fantasy, Disney struck a deal with German shipbuilding company Meyer Werft to partner on 3 new ships. At the time, the objective was fairly simple: make 3 slightly larger versions of the Disney Fantasy. That would change as executives and designers began seeking out new ways they could possibly improve upon their previous general arrangement plans. Fast forward to February of 2018, where at Disney's Yacht and Beach Club Convention Center, a design kickoff takes place for what was called Project Triton. Leading up to this event, head of Imagineering at the time, Bob Weiss, would take a flight to Orlando with Wing Chow, the mastermind behind Disney Cruise Line's original ships. It was during this flight that Chow would recommend Laura Cabo, Imagineering's head of architecture at the time, to lead the design team for Project Triton. Joining Laura at the helm was Philip Janot. Although a newcomer to Walt Disney Imagineering, he was a highly experienced ship designer and had clearly made a strong impression when helping design the Disney Dream during his tenure at Meyer Werft. Project Triton, now under the command of Cabo and Janot, charted a course and moved forward on injecting an unprecedented dedication to storytelling for what was to become the Disney Wish. The development phase in Celebration, Florida would ultimately pass the baton to the construction phase in Papenburg, Germany, home to the Meyer Werft shipyard. On April 8th of 2021, a keel-laying ceremony would take place, marking the official start of the build. And after 10 months of assembling this ship block by block, the Disney Wish would be ushered out of its birthing ground on February 11th of 2022 and guided down the Ems River. 4 months later, the Wish arrived at its new home in Port Canaveral, Florida, destined to set sail on its maiden voyage on July 14th of 2022. The Disney Wish has been enchanting thousands of passengers through the Bahamas ever since, including a particular guy who is now talking in the third person. While we're here, how about some fun facts? The Disney Wish was the first ship of the aptly named Disney Wish class, the Disney Treasure being the second, which made its maiden voyage at the end of 2024, the third being the Disney Destiny, which will make its maiden voyage in November of this year, and the fourth one started construction on the day of me writing these fun facts. The length of the ship is 1,119 feet, which basically means if you were to tilt the ship up so that the bow was pointing up toward the sky, it would stand ever so slightly taller than the Eiffel Tower. And because Ryan Bergara is with us in spirit here, this length of the ship equates to about 160 shacks, as in Shaquille O'Neal's. The Disney Wish has a cruising speed of 19.5 knots, or about 22 miles an hour, and a maximum speed of 23 knots, which is about 26.5 miles an hour. This ship is crewed by 1,555 people and sports a capacity of 4,000 passengers. There are 1,254 staterooms on this ship, and 948 of those are veranda staterooms, which is the room that the younger version of myself is staying in right now. And the ship also stands at a height of 221 feet. So basically the height of your average hypercoaster for you coaster heads out there. Now, enough about the size of the ship. What about the motion of the ocean? Well, to best handle that, the ship is equipped with azimuth thruster pods, or in layman's terms, propellers that can rotate, which makes it easier to maneuver the ship, especially when entering and exiting ports. This ship was one of the first to be powered by liquefied nitrogen gas, which also makes it one of the most environmentally friendly ships out there. The color scheme of this ship is like every other Disney ship, Mickey colors, so red, yellow, white, and of course, Monica blue. That's right, named after Monica Ireland, who worked on Disney's original cruise ship, The Magic, and sported a pair of dark blue pants that ultimately inspired the color they went with. Monica Ireland, by the way, was the senior project design manager on the Disney Wish. Laura Cabo, who headed the design portfolio on this ship, had never taken a cruise prior to being approached with this project, which is very much in the spirit of when Wing Chow designed the original Disney cruise ships. He was not all, I don't know if he went on cruises or not, but he was not all too familiar with cruise ships when he took on that project. So it's funny how that works out. But let's get into this ship, shall we? The Disney Wish is themed to enchantment, It was intended to serve as a castle on the seas. This became evident the moment I boarded the Disney Wish, where I was struck by this incredible reveal of what they call the Grand Hall. Think of it like a main atrium on the ship. This Grand Hall includes a stage on Deck 3, aka the floor you enter the ship on. This stage hosts a variety of shows and character interactions, and placed high above this stage is a balcony, where characters can perform as well. Upon entry, I was greeted by Cinderella and Prince Charming, who were perched upon that balcony. Speaking of Cinderella, the Grand Hall's signature feature is a massive chandelier that resembles her iconic gown. This, in addition to the entire ceiling, are loaded with fiber optics and truly come to life in a magical way during the evening hours. There are additional nods throughout this grand hall, such as the glass slipper and a statue of the princess herself located next to the main staircase. One could say that the grand hall truly encapsulates the spirit of enchantment. Speaking of spirits, the Disney Wish is home to a multitude of bars and lounges, and shortly after boarding the ship, I made my way to one of them, go figure, called the Bayou. Not only does this Princess and the Frog-inspired bar include a stage for live music, but they also serve some beignets. As for the beverage, I went with the Smoked Fashion, which is basically an old fashioned with rum, and this was served to me in a smoky box that I got to open up. To be honest, this was probably my favorite drink of the cruise. I'm not gonna lie, it was fantastic. Anyways, I gotta say, parents are gonna love this next fun fact because it's gonna allow them to experience all these awesome bars. Ready to take a vacation from your kids? Well, the Disney Wish features an expansive kids area called the Oceaneering Club, which includes immersive experiences into the worlds of Marvel, Star Wars, Disney princesses, and an area I personally would have spent my entire time in as a kid, a space dedicated to Imagineering. More on that later. All right, now that we're good and educated on life's most important matters, what do you say we rejoin that slightly younger version of myself that's still out at sea? And don't worry, we will reconvene here at the end of the episode where I'll go through my goods and the bads like we do with many of our For Your Amusement episodes. I'll draw up my final conclusions of whether or not I think this is a cruise worth taking, and for fun, we'll throw in some rankings of my favorite bars and restaurants on the Disney Wish. But for now, let's get back on that ship. Like with every cruise line, I got to enjoy the experience of it, the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck doing the Wish Upon a Star kind of toot toot sequence, which I'll cut in right now. But before that, we did have the whole cruise line safety spiel. I call it the mustard, the mustard meeting, where everyone's in their bright yellow or neon colored, I call them mustard suits, and they give you the safety spiel of this is where you meet when you hear these warnings. Every cruise line does it. It's a necessity. It's never fun, even on a Disney cruise, I will say. But alas, here we are after my first dinner here on this ship, which was at 1923, the year that the Walt Disney Company was founded. That's the theme of that. It's decorated with all sorts of, from classic Disney animations all the way up to more, like Princess and the Frog and stuff like that. There's two sides to it. There's the Walt side and the Roy side. I ate in the Roy side, although they looked fairly similar based on what I saw. I had a filet mignon, I had ahi tuna as an appetizer. The food was delicious so far. And yeah, just right off the bat, I've once again, people have been pestering me over the past year of, oh, I know you love parks, Byron. I know you only care about the rides and, traversing the parks, but you really got to try a Disney cruise. Well, your prayers have been answered. Some folks on the Discord have also been giving me some tips that are familiar with this cruise line, so that's been very helpful, and that's going to help me get through this 3-day cruise. Where are we? 8:04. I'm going to the first live stage show of this cruise in about 25 minutes. Every night that we are staying on this ship, they have a different Broadway style show. I don't know exactly what show I'm getting tonight, but I'm very excited. Also, 2 more themed dining experiences. We got Marvel tomorrow night, and then I've got, what's the third one, is Frozen Night 3. I'm looking forward to the adventure ahead, and once again, this is kind of gonna be playing out like an audio log where I'm kind of figuring it out. But anyways, I got a show to catch. Super excited. Have no idea what it is, honestly. And I'm running on an hour and a half or so of sleep. This is crazy. We'll see how it goes. I will check in probably tomorrow. All right. Night. Say, is this episode making you want to go on a trip of your own? Well, if that's the case, I've got just the right person who can make that wish come true. That's right, from castle dreams to passport stamps, Sarah B. Travels has got you covered. Sarah Beyer is a theme park-obsessed wife, mom, and travel advisor who helps families plan amazing, low-stress vacations to Disney, Universal, and other iconic destinations all around the world. She's a one-woman show who knows the parks inside and out, especially what it's like traveling with little kids, picky eaters, or sensory needs. Sarah's capable of taking care of everything if you so choose, from lightning lane strategies to express passes, dining reservations, and custom pacing that fits your family. She even helps with first-timers who don't know where to start, and even seasoned Disney or Universal pros who just want someone else to handle all the details. She has lots of resources and guides to help you familiarize yourself with the parks. Sarah also builds personalized itineraries designed around your travel style, whether you're rope-dropping thrill rides, just vibing out with snacks and shows, or traveling to foreign countries. Sarah B. even plans rest breaks, character stops, and snack runs so your trip feels magical and manageable. The best part about all this? Her planning services are completely free for most destinations. No fees, no catch. That's because she gets paid by the suppliers, not you. Planning a theme park trip can get overwhelming fast, but with Sarah, you don't have to worry about missing out or getting stuck in long lines with tired kids. Sarah's not just a booking agent, she's like your personal theme park strategist, hype woman, and travel bestie, all bundled in one. Families love her attention to detail, warm personality, and how much care she puts into making the trip perfect for each traveler. You can go ahead and follow Sarah on her adventures over at Instagram at sarah.fortheloveofcastles. And if you want to get the ball rolling on your next trip, we're going to drop a link in the description to this video or wherever you get your podcasts, where you'll be able to fill out a questionnaire and put Sarah to work. Thank you, Sarah B. Travels, for sponsoring this episode. Meow, back to the show. Okay, day 2 on the Disney Wish. I got a full night's sleep. I feel infinitely better than I did yesterday in terms of just my battery, my personal battery. Luckily things were so exciting yesterday that I was like able to push through it and not really notice how tired I was until I got such a good night's sleep. I actually sent a screenshot of the previous recording to a friend, and they said it looked like I was in a hostage video. So I don't know how well that's gonna play for this video podcast. I think I'm gonna leave it in there. So let's recap what happened the rest of yesterday. Where did we leave off? I had already eaten at 1923. I was just about to go to a show. It was kind of like an original show I think that they've done for this ship, but it was really cute. It was just like one of those Disney medley, where they just kind of hit you with all the classic songs, and they kind of do it through the vessel, pun or not pun intended, of Minnie giving the captain reins over for Goofy to try out. And of course, Goofy is not really confident in his abilities to be a captain, and through the magic of going through Disney bangers and getting all these cool music numbers, Minnie instills that extra boost to accept himself as a captain, as they say, the captain of their own heart. I believe it was something to those tunes. It was wholesome. It was a little bit I think, a lot of these productions are going to be played down for young kids, but I think the adults will enjoy it quite a bit as well. Really good vocals, good dance numbers. I really like what they did with the stage and all the projections and stuff like that. Really enjoyed the show. A harmless 30 minutes, super easy. It's very much like a gateway theater production for youngsters, and then short enough and high enough production value, I think, for an older audience to appreciate the music numbers and just kind of the dedication to the craft, if you will. Really, no one was filming during the performance. As the cruise director stated before the start of the performance, that we want to teach really good theater etiquette to kids, because for many kids this is the first experience of going out to the theater. And I thought that was a really interesting point. And if I'm lucky, I'll be able to interview the cruise director later on this trip. So fingers crossed on that. I was lucky enough, though, to meet the captain, Minnie Mouse, this morning. Minnie, how you doing?
Great to be aboard.
Okay, I don't know, this is a little too bold, but I'm actually here to apply for a job. I hope you don't mind.
So I did get a photo with Minnie Mouse
But instead of meeting the princesses this morning, I have decided that I am going to try and use that opportunity to ride the Aqua Mouse attraction. Since we are so attraction based on this podcast, I feel like I got to try the Aqua Mouse. Hopefully the line is not as crazy as what it looked like last night. Well, sorry, not last night. They close it basically around sundown or something like that. They don't have the Aqua Mouse open that late. If not, I would have probably tried to get a night ride because it's lit so well. It looks so enticing. I was surprised that, well, I guess not that surprised. Like they're trying to go for a good nighttime aesthetic on the ship. So it looks amazing anytime you see the Aqua Mouse or anything on the top deck of the ship. But seeing it lit up that way, I wanted to ride it, and it was closed late at night. So what I did after the show is I went and tried a bar. I went to the Keg and Compass. It was pretty quiet at that time. It's very much more in the pocket of a sports bar. It wasn't until I was halfway through my beer that I noticed that they have this like really tastefully done these sketches of courses that are charted, but like subtly they've mixed in Disney characters. This is all up on the ceiling. You bask in a certain setting long enough, whether it's on land and sea, they're really trying to give you a well-detailed experience that gets better and better the more you take it in. I ordered room service after my beer last night.
Oh, I'm gonna do an order of the chicken tenders, please. Amazing. And do you have Mickey bars available? Just one, please.
And I enjoyed it out here on this veranda, this balcony, which, by the way, I'm filming on this morning as opposed to inside my stateroom. So you're hearing the noise. We're actually passing the Royal Caribbean ship behind us. I don't know if you see it yet because the angle, but we're in Nassau. I always suck at pronouncing that, by the way. We're in Nassau. I'm gonna stay on the ship. I've been to Nassau, as I mentioned, so I wanna just take full advantage, considering this is only a 3-night cruise, and there are so many experiences that you can enjoy on the Disney Wish. So I'm gonna do that. For example, the Aqua Mouse, which opens in 20 minutes. I have a 10 a.m. brunch, so I'm hoping I could get on the Aqua Mouse at least once before I have to change back into my silly blazer and go to, it's not silly blazer, but it's silly that I'll just put it this way. I wore the blazer and a captain's hat to go meet Minnie Mouse this morning. Every person I was walking by gave me a very interesting look this morning. One woman actually asked me before getting into the elevator, do you work here? And my reply was no, but I am meeting the captain. And she's like, oh, really? And she kind of like, she probably started, her like wheels started spinning. Oh, like maybe like he works for Disney or something like that. And my reply was, yeah, Minnie Mouse. And I got like the coldest reaction. Like the most judgmental look, the true you sicko look, before she kind of gave one of those like pitiful like, oh, okay, and now here we are, and I'm just giving these silly updates. It probably sounds like dog doo-doo. Hopefully I could kind of adjust that a little bit in post, but hey, you know what? You're hearing the sounds of the ship. Oh, another thing I didn't mention yet is fun tip that multiple friends of the pod chimed in on last night because I've been giving some friends some updates, and there's some friends of mine that are very familiar with this cruises, and they knew this was my first Disney cruise, so they've been like vicariously trying to make sure I don't miss out on all the main stuff. Samantha Souza, who does a lot of these cruises, she actually works and directs productions for some of the Royal Caribbean theater dining shows. She's a huge Disney Cruise Line fan. So she takes a bunch of these, and she told me last night, like, since you love having an early morning coffee, Byron, there are cards in your drawer. They're called Good Morning cards, and you flip that thing over and you can queue up your order for the next morning. So what I did is I preemptively set a 7 a.m. delivery time for my black coffee and orange juice, so that when I woke up at 7 a.m., get a little knock on my door, and there it is, my coffee orange juice. I bring it out here to the veranda, and I'm just straight up loving life. And you know why? Because I can. That's what I'm saying. Those 3 words, I don't like to take them into every day of my life, but I feel like people get to give themselves permission to say, hey, because I can, when they get on a cruise line. So, you know, because I could, I got some coffee on the veranda, and, you know, because I can, I am doing a podcast episode on the go as it unfolds on my my stateroom balcony in the Bahamas, which is really nuts. So if this works out and it's a piece of trash, at least I'm having some fun doing it now, and I have so much more energy this morning, which is fantastic. And yes, I am still wearing this silly captain's hat. I just kind of realized that I did it for the photo with Minnie. I'm gonna try and remember to take this off for brunch at Paulo, because that's supposed to be a pretty nice establishment. That's not included with the traditional like meals and dinners that you get here. That's like a separate reservation that adults can make. I believe there's one other restaurant that does that on this cruise line, but we're lucky enough to get a 10 a.m. reservation for Paulo. So I'm excited for that. So hopefully going to, we got 15 minutes to Aqua Mouse. So I'm gonna try and rope drop. Whether I'm on land or sea, I'm trying to rope drop, it appears. Just a force of habit. Hopefully not a bunch of people have beat me to that, so I could get a ride on it, maybe grab some footage. That'd be pretty awesome. And then dry off and make my way over to Paulo for brunch. Oh, then I also got a Byron in the Parks live stream. But anyways, I will check in very soon with how those experiences go. Ahoy! I have successfully crossed over into day 3. Following my update yesterday morning, I did in fact go and experience the Aqua Mouse. Got 2 spins on the Aqua Mouse. That is it's essentially like a water slide with a raft. If you're familiar with the Aqua Coaster style of ride, they have these booster pumps that'll essentially like launch you up inclines.
Oh, we got a launch! We got a launch!
It's got a themed extensive lift hill. The one I got was kind of Matterhorn based, or kind of in the snow, so I got to see an animated version of Harold. There's a lot of water gags during this lift hill. There is something about being on a water slide for me that is just extremely liberating, and it had been a hot minute since I've been on one. So this was one of the highlights of my trip. Once again, I'm a morning person, so being able to rope drop a water attraction like this, that just taking place, you know, on the open sea, was special. Following the Aqua Mouse, I had a 10 a.m. brunch at Paulo. That is a restaurant that they have on every single Disney cruise line, I've been told. And it is an additional charge. Take that for what you will. It is a very nice restaurant. The best food I've had so far on this ship. It's not something you particularly have to do, but if you feel like splurging and, you know, seeking those culinary horizons and trying some really well-made stuff, Paulo's a good option for you. Or if you're with like a significant other, or you're on an anniversary trip, I don't know, a birthday maybe. Special occasions Paulo is pretty good for that, but more so to appease adults. But anyways, what did I have at Paulo that I would recommend that you try if you ever so choose to dine at Paulo? I went with, this is not on the menu, by the way. Our server was very gracious. She gave us the heads up that there is an item that is not on the menu that is very, very good, and I got to try it. It was the grape and gorgonzola pizza. I mean, who the heck thinks of putting grapes on a pizza? Like, who would have ever thought that works? Yet it does. It's really good. And then in addition to that, I also, and the person in our group was raving about this one, it was their chicken parm, which is admittedly odd to eat for brunch, but I heard it was so good. I gotta try it, and I gotta say, it really lived up to the hype. This is probably like the best balance of flavor that I've ever experienced on a chicken parm. Everything worked, just all the proportions of like the breading, the cheese, the sauce, more caked on as opposed to being overly saucy. Like the chicken parm ripped. It was so damn good. So that and the pizza I think are must-dos. Forgo the seafood if unless you're like really craving a fish item. But once again, if you have the luxury to split with people, if you end up at Paulo, yeah, you could try all of them. But once again, I don't think, as someone who loves red snapper, you could get good red snapper elsewhere, and it's great at Paulo, but do the unique stuff. Like I can't get that chicken parm anywhere else. I can't get that pizza anywhere else. And you could probably hear, oh my God, there's sea-doers. There's people sea-doing off this balcony right now. That can't be cheap by any means, but gosh, that looks fun. And by the way, right after I finish this recording, I will be getting on this Castaway Key island. So I'm very excited for that. I do have a little adventure package that includes snorkeling and a bike rental. So I'm excited to do that. But anyways, right back into this update. You folks that just happened to be on Instagram at the time that I was starting a live stream, you might have seen me yesterday doing a Byron in the parks. So you got to have a look at that. So that was a lot of fun. It was really cool getting to hear a bunch of recs in the chat of other people that have done Disney Cruise Lines and get a little lay of the land on the top deck. Or the pool deck mainly. We did kind of walk around there. I got to try the ribs, so I did that during the live stream. Peter from Ordinary Adventures recommended that I try the ribs, so thank you, Peter. The ribs were in fact delicious. This is not sit down, by the way. You could get this kind of near one of the pool decks. It's like kind of in their food marketplace, quick service, grab and go type of fare, but they have a barbecue section. I got to experience the adult pool deck. Yes, it's really funny because I originally thought I was coming onto this ship as kind of a joke, being an adult man doing this cruise by himself. There's a lot of adult offerings. There's a lot of places to grab drinks. It's cool that they have adult only sections on this ship. The pool deck with the infinity pool was really fun. I learned that every day on this ship, they have a drink of the day that's gonna be half off. So during this live stream, I ordered what was called a sunken treasure. And you know, it was tasty. Once again, half off. I'm not gonna complain. I'm gonna take full advantage of that. And so I got 2 sunken treasures. You know, you gotta do it, right? You definitely don't, but I did it, whatever. Good time at the pool. As soon as that ended, I kind of kept the beat going. Me and a couple friends that I've met on the ship here, we made it over to the Hyperspace Lounge, which is their Star Wars themed bar. I sat at the bar. They got like a really cool projection display behind it where you see, you know, ships taking off and your POV, you're going into hyperspace or like light speed. They had some fun concoctions that they were making here. You know, what I've realized at a few of these bars now is like they have these bubble makers and they'll try and drop it on your drink. So there's a couple of my friends had these bubble drinks, and if you're watching the video version, you'll see that.
That's dope.
Apologies for the sound of the ship, by the way. Once again, I am recording this on the veranda, the balcony here on the Disney Wish. So you're hearing, oh, they're actually lowering, they're lowering one of those like safety vessels, like the ones that hang off the side of the side of the ship. I wonder what that's about. I hope no one went overboard. I am the captain now, after all. I might have to get on this, wrap this shoot up soon. But anyways, Hyperspace Lounge, I got a whiskey-based beverage. Wasn't my favorite in the world. It was a little too syrupy. I think it threw off the balance with the whiskey drink I had, and considering it was a $22 beverage, I've had better ones on this ship, let's just say that. And we'll talk about them in a second here, actually, but not before I went to dinner. This was my second themed dinner. This night, night 2, was the Marvel experience. So you're basically hosted by and whoever, Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, what's that guy's name? Scott Lang.
Hi, I'm Scott Lang, but you might know me as Ant-Man.
There you go. Things go awry. There may or may not be some accidental shrinking and enlarging of the ship. As you could probably imagine, the heroes come and save the day. I won't spoil too much of it, but it was a fun projected dinner show. I thought the actors, the stars that they had, Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, I think they did a great job considering this is like essentially a cruise / sort of theme park type, like probably in that same spirit of doing like a pre-show, but it's very elongated because they have different acts that pop up during different courses of your experience while you're getting, your different courses of food.
I heard a lot of chatter out there asking why I didn't shrink down, go in, and kill Thanos in a really creative way.
So that was really unique. I'd never experienced anything like that, so I found that really fun. Now, the food. I will say overall, I think I was a little more impressed with 1923's food. I was recommended the bao bun, which I believe had some pork belly in it, and that was by far the best thing that I had at this Marvel dining experience. Everything else was kind of it was fine, it was good, like it wasn't, once again, I wasn't trying anything too crazy. I had an ahi tuna steak, relatively tasty, but nothing to really write home about, if I'm being honest, but the bao bun, really good. And that took me to the second Broadway style performance. So I enjoyed a production of The Little Mermaid. The production value was terrific. I think the actors did a great job. Once again, it's pretty cool that you see like these Broadway caliber productions taking place on your ship every night. That takes me to another bar I went to called Nightingales. They had a piano player there, which was awesome. It's cool because behind you when you're sitting at the bar, you have all the windows to like the main entryway, like the main royal entryway. So you get all this great kinetics of the people like walking around after the show outside. But when you're tucked in the bar, it's like much more mellow and peaceful, and you have this, beautiful, piano covers taking place of like, some classic Disney stuff, some stuff I've never heard before. And then you combine that with a good cocktail, and you're just having a great evening. I really enjoyed Nightingales. Might be my favorite bar so far that I've experienced on the Disney Wish. Highly recommend Nightingales. After Nightingales, and maybe I should have brought this up earlier, night 2 is what they call Pirates Night. And what I've realized is that people that are familiar with these Disney cruise ship experiences, they come prepared. People were dressed up as pirates even before going to dinner. People are truly devoted to Pirates Night, and it makes it all the better. The Disney fans buy into it. The cast members, obviously, they buy into it. They left bandanas in our room, so even if we didn't come prepared with attire, I was able to slap a bandana on my head and somewhat look like a touristy pirate. So following my drinks at Nightingale at around 10:15 p.m. at this point, the pirate party starts, and it's on the top, it's on the deck. They got the stage, they got the big screen, and it's essentially just a big ass rock concert where they're playing some Disney bangers, obviously a lot of like Pirates of the Caribbean music, but it's like a rock concert style. And they're dressed as pirates. You got this lady pirate just like owning the stage and singing. It was so kick-ass. It was a terrific show, and it ended with straight up Jack Sparrow descending from the steam stack at the top of the ship down onto the stage and stumbling around with the rock stars that are like finishing their final number. And as soon as the rock concert ends,
A pirate's life for me.
they avert your attention quickly over off the ship, and fireworks start shooting off the ship. A fireworks show, which, by the way, Disney Cruise Line is the only cruise line that is able to do this. I don't know what that entailed or what sort of, red tape they had to get around to make it possible, but to see a fireworks show on your ship is unreal. Obviously, don't expect the amount of fireworks that you'd see at like Magic Kingdom, but it was still wildly impressive. And I'm not gonna lie, this was one of there's been a few moments so far on this cruise where I've really thought, man, like, I really wish Ryan was here to experience this with me. I think we would have like really had a terrific time together. This was one of those moments where I thought, wow, you know, Pirates Night, like the shenanigans that Ryan and I would have been partaking in together. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean on a cruise ship, you can't miss with that. It's so good, and they knocked it out of the park. Mickey and Minnie were dressed up like in Pirates outfits during the day. Loved the Pirates show, loved the idea of Pirates Night. That to me is just such a huge draw, I think, to get back on a ship like this, because that was so fun. And if you are in like a group of friends, and it's like whether you're kids or adults, like I'm just saying, like I'll just say, like after midnight, you still saw some adults walking around and just, you know, goofing off with their friends, just having a great Pirates night. But my night wasn't over after that, because for whatever reason, about a week ago, I thought it would be fun to add on an 11 p.m. old-fashioned mixology class. It's called World of Old Fashioned, and it kind of takes you through the various ways that you can make old fashions with varying spirits. And usually after every tasting, the person that was instructing us would let us try and guess what the spirit was, and then would explain how he used, you know, the bitters and, you know, the other stuff to kind of create balance based on what that spirit was. So we never actually tried like a traditional bourbon old fashioned the entire time, because he wanted to introduce us to all the other various old fashions that you can have. I got one of them right. I did pick off the mezcal old fashioned. So that was my shining moment. For the most part, I had no idea what was going on. I was just along for the ride. I was perhaps having, you know, there's a considerable amount of whiskey, let's just say that was going on during this. So it wasn't, I did pay $100 for it. That being said, I probably drank about, you know, $50 to $60 worth of whiskey, and then you get the experience of having a relatively private kind of instructor slash, you know, storyteller slash old-fashioned historian. It was cool. It took place in the Hooks. They have a Hooks barber shop, which I thought sounded kind of weird. Luckily, like this tasting area is like separate from where people get their hair taken care of or whatever. It's like a separate bar. There are only 2 other people that were crazy enough to do this 11 p.m. Experience with me. So tip of the cap. Well, actually not. Yeah, tip of the cap to those 2. I hope you're all feeling okay this morning. But that was a good time. Was feeling a little bit this morning, but still had enough energy to go try out the coveted Mickey waffle, the churro waffle that they usually put out only on the last full day, like the morning of the last full day, the Castaway Key morning. Traditionally, I had gotten so many recs, more recs for this than any other thing. Oh, we got an announcement coming. You hear it? All right, I might have to power through this announcement here. Really love the churro waffles. I get the hype. They are very small and unassuming looking, yet they are very dense, and it is very much like you're eating a churro for breakfast. I don't even think you need the maple syrup that they offer you with it. I think they kind of hold their own. But hey, if you want to add a little extra flavor, a little extra something, it's there for you. But really love the Mickey churro waffles. I understand the hype. That takes me to the tour I got to take of the Oceaneering area. Basically, it's like the kids club down on the 3rd deck. They have all these like immersive experiences for the kids to play around with. It was very fun. They had a Marvel themed area. They had a kind of a fantasy, royal fantasy like type of thing with the Frozen characters, Beauty and the Beast. And then they had my favorite area, which was an Imagineering area. They actually had, for decorative reasons, and I don't think this is obviously anything that the age range of kids would be really taking in and digesting, but they had the hard hats, like the construction hats of actual Imagineers that worked on the Disney Wish. displayed around this kids play area, which I thought was super cool. Like you could see kind of blueprint, like mapping and stuff. There was a model of the Disney Wish that was in this little kids play area. This is for the kiddos, but it was cool to kind of walk around there and see kind of the various options they have. It is very much an elevated kids club experience compared to the kids clubs that I was familiar with growing up. This truly looked like a next level experience. So it was cool to kind of take a look and get like an open house sort of experience with that before the kids take over it again. And I may or may not have ridden the slide to get down there. It starts on the main entry floor. Kids can take the slide down from the main lobby that ends at the entrance of the Oceaneering kids area, which I thought was super, super cool. So that takes me to now, and I'm ready to have my adventure on Castaway Key. It is coming up on 11 a.m. so I got to get out there. I'm gonna do some snorkeling. I'm gonna try and do a bike ride, just kind of see what this island has to offer. This is a Disney-owned island. It's all for us today. I will report back probably after this trip concludes. Excited for this final day because I'll be disembarking early tomorrow morning. But more updates to come in a conclusion of the trip on my next check-in. Later. All right, everybody, we are back in present day, and I am ready to recap my final day aboard the Disney Wish from the comfort of my own home. So about Castaway Key, I mean, what can I say? It's a tropical island. Disney owns it. It's basically just you, the 4,000 other passengers, and whoever's working on that island. It's sprawling. As soon as you get off the ship, there's a couple options. One of which is you can take the tram that's running consistently throughout the day. That'll get you to multiple spots on the island. Or you could do what I did, which was to take the footpath, which I kind of underestimated. It was a sizable walk. Once I made it to the main hub on Castaway Key, I was able to keep my body moving, rent a bike, take that down a very lovely path, sort of clear my mind, let the tropical breeze flow through my hair. It was delightful. I enjoy a good bike ride once in a while, and it had been a hot minute. So that was a lot of fun. And if you're feeling really ambitious, you could also use these paths to run I believe it was a 5K. And so some people were actually going on a run. I would have loved to have joined them. But I mean, what could I say? I was wearing flip-flops. I did not come prepared. And we all know I would have loved to have been running this trail instead of biking it. That would have just been so relaxing and chill in that very warm weather. But I wasn't prepared. Next time I'll be running that 5K on Castaway Key. After that, I traded the bike in for some snorkeling gear. I've snorkeled like Great Barrier Reef. I've snorkeled in Cabo, Hawaii, over some like beautiful reefs where you could actually see like tons of fish, even some like a few sharks once in a while. This is very tame. This is a little more, let's say like sanitized or kind of a positive with the snorkeling setup that they have at Castaway Key is that you're going to feel really safe. So it's a great place for kids to kind of get their first experience with snorkeling. I will say, as like a Disney fan, I really enjoyed all the Easter eggs that they hid underneath the water. It basically turned into this big Easter egg hunt when you're snorkeling. They got all these big statues, whether it's like Mickey, Minnie submerged at the bottom of the ocean that you can go spot. They had Prince Eric. They had a massive, what appeared to be like the Nautilus from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So I got to check that out. I found some sunken treasure. I thought I found all of them, but it turns out that there was one that I missed, and it was Dumbo. And I'm really bummed that I didn't get to see Dumbo, or a big statue of Dumbo underwater. So all the more reason to go back. It was a blast. They had a big buffet for lunch. I devoured that buffet. I think I got a lot of weird side eyes when they saw me like loading my plate up, and I made it all disappear. I was pretty impressed with myself. I'm not going to lie. But with that full stomach, I kind of waddled over to the tram, and I took that over to Serenity Bay, and this is their adult-only beach. This blew my mind. It felt like you're at a private beach. I secured a hammock, no problem. I took a 20-minute power nap on said hammock, and I enjoyed more time just lounging around in the water, taking it all in. I watched a pelican hunt for like 10 minutes. I saw a pelican dive down into the water and gobble up a fish. It felt like you're on a private beach, and it was so damn peaceful. I could have spent like another 3 or 4 hours there. But I got back on the Disney Wish just in time to interview the executive director, Christian Abbott, as well as the hotel operation director, McLean Andrades. Collectively, I think we got a lot of really cool insight into what it's like running a cruise ship. Don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that yet, but I think it's going to be a separate video that we publish. But it was a really neat experience. And after that interview, it was straight into the final dinner that I got to enjoy aboard the Disney Wish, which makes this a very appropriate time for me to actually rank my favorite table service restaurants on the Disney Wish. So to avoid spoilers in a way, I'm not actually going to bring up the last dinner quite yet. It's going to find its way into these rankings. Number 4, I have 1923. This one actually surprised me, and I will preface this by saying I did not have a bad meal on this ship. It was weird putting this as number 4 because I was actually really impressed with 1923. I just think it wasn't quite as memorable as the other ones on this list. The food was really good. I feel like you notice that like the artistry and like the design of the place more when you're actually walking to your table more so than when you're sitting at it. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense, but solid restaurant. I had to put it number 4 because it just wasn't as memorable as these other ones. Number 3, I have Worlds of Marvel. I couldn't quite put it higher because I'm not going to lie, all the show elements, as fun as they are, I just don't like them being so heavily involved like during my meal, like the amount of like plot and things kind of going on like through every course that's being served. Eventually you're kind of like, look, I'm having some conversations, I'm enjoying my food. I don't need Ant-Man to interrupt me every 12 minutes or so. But no, I think a lot of people are going to find it really fun, and it was at least a very unique setup. People are going to have different opinions on whether or not you should be using a bunch of screens to run a dinner show. I kind of liked it in the sense that no matter where you're sitting, you get a pretty good view. That's harder to pull off when you have live actors and like a single stage. This format, I think, works in the sense that everyone, I think, is going to get a solid view. And that moves me to number 2, Paulo. Paulo was the best food that I had on the cruise ship, as it should be, by the way, because it is not included with your stateroom price. Had to note that again, and that's probably why it went to number 2. But there's just one that edged it out. This was Arendelle. It was the frozen dining experience. If I'm being honest, this was not the meal I was looking forward to the most. I think Frozen's a great franchise and all, but I just didn't know how well it would translate to a dinner. And like sometimes I feel like Frozen is just used so often across like the Disney parks and properties and what have you that I assume that when you're throwing like a big property at me like that, I'm not going to get as unique of an experience, but I was mistaken. Unlike the Worlds of Marvel dinner show, this Arendelle dinner show was all like live actors, live performers. It takes place on a central stage. And you know what I really loved about this, and maybe this is a hot take, but paper thin plot. I love me a paper thin plot. If you're going to give me a dinner show, I want an atmosphere. I want a vibe. So this was super simple. This is Anna and Kristoff celebrating their engagement. That's what you're there to do. That's your story. That's it. And then everything else is just listening to incredible live music, watching awesome dance numbers, interacting with your favorite Frozen characters, and watching an animatronic of Olaf get wheeled around the place. This awesome live dinner show also came with one of my favorite food items that I had on the entire cruise, which was this baked scallops dish. I don't even know how to describe it. If you're a fan of like a lobster bisque, but instead it's like scallops, and it's got this delicious breading baked over the top of it. It was just insane. Like, it was one of my favorite things on the cruise. The whole dinner in general, all the items that I had at this Arendelle dinner were fantastic. And once again, when you complement that with the amazing live entertainment and character interactions, this was a home run. It was a big party, and I really think that I got the best for last in regards to these rotating dinners. I will also conclude this dinner talk with giving a special shout out to our server who went along with us for every one of our meals, because that's what they do aboard the Disney Cruise Lines. Is your server will rotate with you. They'll be with you to serve you for every dinner. You get the same person every time, which meant I was lucky to have Pedro there serving us every night. Pedro, you were an absolute delight. And that led me to what was supposed to be the final Broadway show of this cruise. However, I must make a confession. I did not attend the final Broadway style show on the Disney Wish, that being Aladdin, which I know you probably think is crazy because I am such a fan of the stage performance of Aladdin. I used to watch it all the time at the Hyperion Theater at California Adventure, and I was really looking forward to it leading up to this trip. And for whatever reason, I just felt so fulfilled when I walked out of that Frozen dinner show that I decided to go bar hopping, which leads me to this ranking of my favorite bars aboard the Disney Wish. Number 6, the Hyperspace Lounge. It's a cool lounge. It's a cool bar. It's Star Wars themed. If you're into that, you'll love it. Oga's Cantina and whatever they had on that Halcyon back when that existed, I thought were better bars. I might be in the minority there. Number 5, Keg and Compass. Cool pub atmosphere. I'm assuming dads love this bar. However, when I went, as cool as it seemed, it was also kind of dead. I don't know. It kind of lacked a little bit of energy. Number 4, I'm going with, I'm calling it the Cove Bar. It's the bar that's part of the Quiet Cove pool. I believe it's that adult only deck. It's funny because where the energy lacked at Keg and Compass, there was tons of energy at this outside bar in the middle of the day because this pool was absolutely packed. I think they got to change the name because Quiet Cove Pool, I don't know if that was the objective of what they were going for when they designed that adult-only pool deck, but it was packed. Made for a really fun drinking environment, and they had those half-off Sunken Treasure beverages that I enjoyed, so fan of the Cove Bar, and you're right next to an infinity pool. Can't beat that location. You got the view of the ocean out there. Number 3, this was actually the final bar that I drank at. This was my nightcap for night 3. This was called The Rose. It's a very elegant looking bar that's located outside of Paulo. I spotted it on my walk into Paulo, and I thought, this is going to be the place that I close the trip out. This is where I get my final drink or final glass of wine. And it didn't disappoint. It's just a lovely place to end the night and just wind things down. So there you go. The Rose, number 3. And by the way, if you want to get discounted wine, you could ask for their sommelier bin. I believe that's the name of it. It's basically, you don't get to choose the wine, but they just give you like a certain wine that's available or they want to give you at a discounted price. I hope I explained that right, but just ask for like the sommelier bin, and I think they'll pick up what you're putting down and you'll get discounted wine. My second favorite bar was the Bayou. It's kind of in a weird location. It's like kind of very exposed and like doesn't seem like it's in like it's just not in it feels like it's sharing space with like other shops, and it's kind of like in the middle of things. That being said, I thought it was really well themed. I love just that whole like New Orleans type of, it's the same reason why I love like Port Orleans Riverside and stuff like that. And I mean, come on, they serve beignets. Say no more. Number 1, Nightingales. I'm sure a lot of you saw this coming. Love Nightingales. Love the central location right next to that grand hall. I always felt like there's just the right amount of people there. You got the piano player. They got good drinks. Nightingales. Number 1. So that concludes my rankings of my favorite bars and restaurants aboard the Disney Wish, and just about concludes my overall experience aboard the Disney Wish, because following that nightcap that I enjoyed at Rose, I went to sleep. I got up early for debarkation, so I got to enjoy one more breakfast, which was at Marceline's, which is the ship's main buffet, quick service type of area, which was delightful. I kind of wish I did it a few more times, honestly. But hey, you're on a 3-night cruise, so what can you do? And with that comes a list of goods and bads. And just to continue breaking this format apart, I'm actually going to start with the bads here. Bads for the Disney Wish. Here we go. First off, this is a pretty obvious one, especially if you've done any research on cruise lines or just talk to people that go on cruise lines. The price. Not really a shocker here. It's, you get an incredible value, I feel like, when you go on a ship like this, but that's going to come with a high price. So that's how it's going to go. I mean, you're looking at about $3,000 for 2 people for the 3-night cruise aboard the Disney Wish. They do have a 4-night option. I can only imagine that goes up even more. And it also is going to depend on the time of the year you go. For example, I looked up the prices for a weekend in the middle of October for a 3-night cruise, and it came out at about $3,000 for the same room that I got, the veranda type of room, which is terrific, by the way. So, I mean, at least you're getting a really sweet room out of it, and of course, a really cool experience overall. If I were to have paid for this cruise, there's no way I would have came by myself, because you have to pay double occupancy even if you come alone. So if in the future, if I'm paying for this cruise, I'm definitely splitting with a few people. Let's just say that. I actually did a price comparison between the Utopia of the Seas, that's Royal Caribbean ship that also goes out of Port Canaveral, 3-night cruise, weekend in the middle of October. I compared both of them, and initially I almost got a sense of sticker shock because the prices were listed so much lower for the Royal Caribbean ship. But when I went more apples to apples and like made it, veranda or balcony rooms, and then realized that the initial price of Royal Caribbean is listed as per person, as opposed to when Disney lists the price, it's for 2 people. It actually came out to be around the same price, right around $3,000. I think the Disney Wish was like maybe $40 more. If I were to make another comparison, I gotta say I also experienced the Star Cruiser, and the Galactic Star Cruiser at Disney World, rest in peace, that went for about like $5,000 or $6,000 a room, and that was only a 2-night experience. So I'm gonna be honest, I personally enjoyed the Wish way more than I did the Star Cruiser. I think I've laid a few hints throughout the course of doing this show. I just think on the Wish there was just way more to do, and way more of it involved stuff that was outside of your cell phones, so that'll be a good later. I'm still on the bads, by the way. I know it doesn't sound like that anymore. My issue with the Star Cruiser was you spend $5,000 to $6,000 for that room for 2 nights, and your entire vacation budget is kind of shot for most families. This, not cheap by any means, but at least I feel like you're still in the game, like as a family, to potentially, do a few nights like somewhere else. My next bad is I felt the layout was kind of confusing. And I don't know if it's necessarily like the boxology of the ship, like where things were exactly placed. I think it was more so the arteries, like the hallways, the staircases, the elevators to get you to these places. I don't know. I found it pretty baffling. And like for a while I was thinking maybe I'm just like, maybe I'm just slow. Maybe I'm just slow or something. But then again, I've been on other cruise ships growing up, and I didn't have the same problem or have the same level of confusion as I had traversing this ship. And I asked a few other people on the ship, and they're like, no, you're not crazy, Byron. Like, no, there's something about the layout of this ship that is pretty confusing. So I take that for what you will. I don't think it detracts too much from the experience, but then again, it's only 3 nights, and really, when you have so much experiences going on and so many things to do on the ship, yeah, maybe every minute counts. So I figured that was worth noting. Next bad here is the pool deck and layout. This didn't work for me. It might work for some other people. I liked the intention. I liked what they were going for in terms of, instead of having like a main central pool, they kind of like scattered a few smaller ones around. But I kind of got this sense that it gave everyone the impression that, oh, those are all like kiddie pools, and those aren't pools like I should be going in, because I never saw that many people in any of the pools except one, and that was the adult only infinity pool at the Quiet Cove pool, or the Quiet Cove deck, and that one was absolutely packed. And I think it's because that was the only pool that really resembled like a big main pool. So I get what they were going for. I just don't think it works with the human psyche that well. I think everyone kind of just registers a lot of those pools as, oh, like that. Where's the main pool? Like that's the kiddie pool. I don't know. I might be crazy on that one as well. I kind of feel stupid making this a bad, because it shouldn't be an issue if you're going on a cruise. The Wi-Fi, I did have to use a Wi-Fi. I found it a little inconvenient. I don't know what it is about cruise ships and Wi-Fi, but a bunch of the apps didn't work. YouTube didn't work when I wanted to do a live stream. I had to resort to Instagram. It was supposed to work for 2 devices. I could never get it to work on my computer. But then again, maybe that's the universe saying you shouldn't be on Wi-Fi when you're on a cruise. There's that. Next bad I have here is also partially a good. It's the app. I think when it came to planning this trip, the app was fantastic. It's really clutch for booking the activities you want to do on the cruise and kind of mapping out your schedule. However, once you get on the ship, for whatever reason, the app kind of takes on a different shape. It's not a big deal breaker. The app is still very helpful, but I don't understand why it kind of looks different once you get on the ship, and then your schedule and like the layout of the app looks a little bit different. It's hard to describe, but just be ready for that. And then my final bad here is I wish the cruise was longer, which leads me to my first good. I wish the cruise was longer. There is so much to do on this cruise ship. 3 nights did not feel like enough. I think that if you go on this cruise, you just have to accept the fact that you're not going to do everything and just relax and enjoy your time. Don't be like me trying to get everything to happen, because it's impossible. Like I would have loved to have done karaoke. I would have loved to have gone to a silent party. Apparently there's a basketball court on this ship. Never saw it, but it's there. Yeah, there's just like an endless amount of stuff to do on this cruise ship, where in three nights, it's just not all going to happen. Just accept that. It's better to feel like, oh, I want to do more, as opposed to like, get me off this ship, I'm bored. So maybe an incentive to go back. Next good here, the look and feel of the ship. From the exterior, it looks like all of your Disney ships for that matter. The Mickey color scheme, they're kind of an homage to the 1930s, like classic ocean liners. This is the same as those, but when you get into the inside of the ship, I mean, I haven't been on the other Disney ships, so I don't have anything to really compare this one to, but I thought everything just looked fantastic. There's like a sophistication to this ship, from the floor to the ceiling. It's Disney characters that are like tastefully crafted into the artwork. It's fancy. It's not too gaudy though. It's not tacky in any way. It's kind of like luxury Disney in a weird way, but it's lovely. I love the textures they work with. I think there's tile artwork on some of the walls, like the light fixtures. resembling kind of like candlelight in the Grand Hall. Pretty much everything worked for me in terms of the aesthetics on the ship. So where it may falter a bit, I think in terms of the layout, I loved the look and feel of everything. One of the biggest goods, honestly, and I think this is just part of that big Disney difference, impeccable service. Impeccable service. I didn't have one bad interaction with a cast member or crew member. Puri, my stateroom host, was just fantastic, just contagious energy and joy, and just amazing service. And it just made me feel so welcome. And it truly really takes that experience to the next level when you have crew members that are just so dedicated to giving you the best possible time you can have. Next good, great food. Great food. I've mentioned this time and time again, so I'll just move on. Live entertainment everywhere on this ship. Huge good. Whether it's live music, dancing, singing, character meet and greets, the whole works. Live entertainment is just pulsating through this ship. Next good here, once you're on the ship, you don't need to be on your phone. I love that. And that leads me to my final good here, which is the proximity to Disney World. Because I'm going to conclude this episode by saying this. As soon as I got off that ship, I took a bus to Epcot. And I did 2 more days at Disney World. The fact that you can combine a cruise like this with a couple extra days riding rides is just like a vacation made in heaven for me. And it truly made for an incredible trip to have the ability to do that. So on the same day I left the ship, I made it over to Epcot and I rode Test Track, which had soft opened, and I was able to ride it that same day. And it was I don't know what to say. Like maybe that's just for the sickos there. Although I'm still very much a theme park guy, through and through. The ability to also add this to the arsenal. I'm curious now because I kind of want to explore more of the Disney ships because I don't really have much to compare this one to. Yeah, I think I'm good and hooked. Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of For Your Amusement. If you like what we're doing here, go ahead and maybe hit that like button for us. Or if you're listening, go ahead and rate us 5 stars. And if not, don't even rate us. That's all good. And if you want to dive deeper into this chaos with us, you can head on over to fyapod.com, where you could become a park hopper and get up to 3 monthly bonus shows in addition to the one you are watching or listening to right now. And it also comes with ad-free episodes. And to all you current park hoppers, thank you once again for being part of this big party with us. And I look forward to seeing you all in the chats this weekend when we go back to court. That's right, world-class kangaroo court this Sunday. Looking forward to get back into that. We will get back to our regular format starting next week. Ryan will be back at the helm. And once again, thank you all. And until next time, we'll see you on the next ride or the next ship, or who knows where this show's going to take us. But anyways, take care. Bye-bye.